a day after she was in Poland.
The strength of our alliance has endured and is now bigger and stronger than ever. The strength of our alliance includes our mutual commitment to stand on the principles that we hold dear and share, that include the defense of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of independent states, and in this case, Ukraine. We are clear that the work that is to be done in response to Putin's war includes standing strong within the alliance to support the needs of our partners. To that end, and to demonstrate our commitment as the United States, in recent weeks, we sent a 1,000-member Stryker squadron that creates a total force of 2,000 American troops who are prepared to stand in defense of our commitment to the NATO alliance and the eastern flank. We have reinforced our recent commitments, all with the mention and with the meaning of strengthening our deterrence and our collective defense. I want to thank you, President Johannes, for your leadership on NATO's eastern flank. I want to thank you for, in addition to doing all that you have been doing in your role of leadership, to modernizing and to increasing the resources that are available. You and I talked about the importance of running a government in a way that we modernize and are efficient and effective with the resources we have. You have been a model in that regard, and I thank you. In terms of our mutual support for the people of Ukraine, in Washington, in the United States Congress, we have taken recent action, including a commitment of $13.6 billion for Ukraine and the region in terms of security assistance and humanitarian assistance. The President, Johannes, and I talked extensively, and I was very moved, Mr. President, by the stories you shared with me of the time you spent with refugees and the heart-wrenching experience that they are having. So we stand together, Romania and the United States, in ensuring that we will do all that is required to put resources into the humanitarian piece of this, understanding that the needs are significant and immediate. To the extent that we are offering humanitarian assistance in addition to the $13.6 billion package from the United States Congress, $4 billion of that will be directly committed to humanitarian assistance. That is on top of the $53 million that I announced yesterday that through the UN, the United States will give to the World Food Program. But I must say, when we are talking about humanitarian assistance, Romania has been a hub of humanitarian assistance. And that is yet another reason that we are here to thank the President and the people of this great country for what you are doing based on the needs of this region. You have been welcoming tens of thousands of refugees and doing it with such compassion and such grace. So I'll conclude my remarks by saying that this is a strong and enduring relationship. It is an important relationship, and the importance of this relationship is being highlighted at this very moment. But it is a relationship that will continue over the years. And again, I thank you, Mr. President, and the people of this beautiful country for all you do and all you represent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice President. We have a couple of questions.
Bună ziua, Roxana Zamfirescu.
Good afternoon, Roxana Zamfirescu, State TV. I have a question for both officials. I would like to ask you if the United States plans to increase the number of troops and to create here a permanent presence. I'm asking this in the context of which 150 kilometers away from the Romanian frontier bombardments take place, and I would like to ask you as well what are the chances of the war extending towards Romania and Republic of Moldova?
I cannot repeat frequently enough that the United States is committed to our friendship and alliance with Romania. And to that end, we have a continuous and rotating commitment of U.S. troops to this country, most recently with the deployment of the 1,000-member Stryker Squadron. And as the people of Romania know, we also know that this is a dynamic situation, and we will on a daily basis assess the needs that we have to maintain stability in this region. As it relates to what might be the future conduct of Putin, I cannot speculate, but we are clear in our position, which is that as a member of NATO, an attack against one is an attack against all.
Thank you. Cred că prima parte primit.
I believe that the first part received a very clear response from Madam Vice President. As for the second part, I can highlight the fact that we do not have information that would indicate that Romania would represent a target of an aggression. On the other hand, it is very clear that this Russian action, this war started against Ukraine, definitely produced a result, a visible, a firm, a clear result, and it's represented by the unity of NATO and the determination of NATO allies to stand together and to defend each other.
Nancy.
Hi, thank you.
From Bloomberg.
Thank you. Madam Vice President, the humanitarian crisis is growing and the violence only seems to be getting worse. The White House and British government have both offered dire warnings about the possibility of the chemical weapons being deployed by Russia, and diplomatic efforts seem to have failed. Is there any discernible pathway out of the crisis, and what is the off-ramp? And to the President of Romania, I'm curious if you think that there are any specific economic sanctions that you'd like to see the U.S. pursue that they have not done so already. Thank you.
In terms of your question about off-ramp, from the beginning, the United States has been attempting sincerely to engage in diplomacy, actively. And from everything that we know and have witnessed, Putin shows no sign of engaging in serious diplomacy. As many of you know, I gave a speech in Munich 3 weeks ago before the re-invasion of Ukraine started. And I said then what we have maintained all along. We're witnessing a playbook, the Russian playbook. And it includes lies, misinformation, and the acts of aggression that we are now witnessing. We maintain that diplomacy is the way to resolve these issues. That coexists with our commitment to ensure that our allies are strong and that there must be serious consequence and accountability for what Russia is doing, which is why we have, to the other point of your question, engaged in historic sanctions and to the effect of basically a free fall of the ruble. The Russian stock market is still not open. Their credit rating is now junk. And there will be more announcements about more action that we will take to ensure serious consequence for what is atrocious and outrageous conduct on behalf of the Russian people by Putin.
The sanction packages have been discussed between the United States and the European Union. We worked very well together on this, and we will continue to work together on this. This is the economic side. On the other hand, the two of us just stated that we stand strong together according to Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, and we will continue this way. So if new sanctions will be necessary, they will be discussed and applied.
Bună ziua, Oana Bâlă, Radio.
Good afternoon, Ana Bâlă, Radio Romania. Madam Vice President, Mr. President, we have seen as the Russian troops attacked a maternity as well as humanitarian convoys. A lot of civilians were killed, including a lot of people were killed, including children, and this triggered a huge international response. Do you believe that Russia committed war crimes in Ukraine?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We are clear that any intentional attack or targeting of civilians is a war crime. Period.
Am discutat aceste.
We have discussed these topics because the images are, of course, shocking. I have discussed about this with Madam Vice President, and yesterday we discussed this topic as part of the European Union summit, and it is very clear to everyone that such situations must be documented in such a way that when the right moment comes, the authorities and the competent institutions would be able to follow up on these facts and to establish in a correct manner on the international level whether or not they constitute war crimes, who committed them, and what should be the appropriate consequences for them. However, it is unimaginable for all of us to see such images now in the 21st century in a war that takes place in Europe. It's outrageous.
Amir Madani.
Thank you.
From the Associated Press.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I really appreciate it. If I may ask, Mr. President, your country and many of your neighbors are enduring enormous cost aiding Ukrainian refugees, and you also face a really dire threat in the Black Sea. And I was just wondering what specifically you've asked the Vice President for. Particularly, do you need more U.S. troops here? Do you need any specific more material defense aid?